Hi, I'm Max Temkin, one of the co-creators of Cards Against Humanity, and this is Tabletop Deathmatch, a competition to find the next great tabletop game. Last year, over 500 people submitted their unpublished games to a panel of expert judges. 16 finalists came to Gen Con to pitch their games in person, and one of those games will win a first printing paid for by Cards Against Humanity and be named the champion of Tabletop Deathmatch.
My name is Jasmine Davis, and my game is Cool Table, a cutthroat game of popularity set in a high school cafeteria. The Cool Table is the table where everybody in the cafeteria wants to sit, but only the most popular kids can actually sit there. So your job in the game is to manipulate all of the cliques in the cafeteria into letting you sit with them at the Cool Table. Last summer, I was sort of thinking about games where the board moves, or games that are very modular, that kind of shift and have a lot of replay value because every game is actually different. Then I thought of high school cafeteria, and I thought, you know, everybody's had that experience of being in a cafeteria and not knowing where to sit. And then I started coming up with all of these fun click names, and so it just kind of, it clicked. My favorite part of playing Cool Table has really been just seeing kind of the other strategies that people come up with when we're playing together. Stuff that I wouldn't have even have thought of. And also kind of seeing how the metagame has kind of become part of the game, like bluffing and knowing the people you're playing with, how well you know them, is going to kind of impact a little bit how the game plays with your friends. When I found out I was a finalist, it was actually a really awful day. It was pouring down rain. I'd gone to the post office to try and get a package, and they kept sending me other places and giving me phone numbers to call. So finally I went home and I was watching Ken Burns' baseball documentary, and I idly checked my phone. I realized two things. One, that I've forgotten a dinner reservation with my friends, and two, that I was a finalist in the Tabletop Deathmatch.
All right, thank you so much for bringing Cool Table for us to take a look at. Tell us about the game.
So the Cool Table is a cutthroat game of high school popularity that's set in a cafeteria in the local high school. Your goal in the game, the player's goal, is to get through the cafeteria to the Cool Table at the end here by manipulating and bribing the various cliques on campus. So there are 8 different cliques that you can bribe. There are cliques like you have the Geekroids, you have the Roboys, the Teen Mom Squad, and some other various cliques. I tried here not to draw too hard from real life just because everyone's sick of jocks and cheerleaders, so you know, if you're gonna have cheerleaders, they're gonna have kids. You choose 4 cliques at random for most of the games. It scales up to 6 players, so you have a few more cliques for that out of the 8. So every game is going to be different, and you kind of wend your way through the cafeteria, through the tables, trying to get to the Cool Table. Now you don't actually have a player character, which is what makes Cool Table so different. Instead of people being assigned a pawn that they have to play, and their goal is to get that specific pawn to the Cool Table, you don't care which clique you move onto the Cool Table with. You just care that it's you that makes that move. So, for example, if somebody had say the Teen Moms, and they bring them close to the Cool Table, you can steal their finishing move and step onto it. You win the game. It's whoever actually gets to the Cool Table with that clique. The idea being that they're gonna let you sit with them, which is nice of them. You've got your 4 cliques, and you are trying to build up sets of the clique cards. So, for example, with the Teen Moms, if I wanted to move the Teen Mom through the cafeteria, I would have to collect a set of Teen Mom cards and play them in front of me. But of course, friendship does not come free here in the high school cafeteria, and so you're gonna have to bribe them if you want to keep their influence. And you're gonna bribe them using Munchitos, everyone's favorite snack-like food substance. So you use the Munchitos to pay off your cliques at the beginning of your turn. The more that you want to keep influence with, the more that you're gonna have to pay. And you get Munchitos by moving towards the Cool Table. Then you use those Munchitos to pay your bribes. The last thing is that each clique has a table. They're randomly assigned at the beginning of the game, and there are 2 tokens on each table. Each clique has to stop off at their table and pick up their token in order to even be eligible to step onto the Cool Table. When you pick up the token, it gives you a unique power that's themed to the clique. So for example, the Teen Mom Squad gives you an extra card on your hand limit. The Otters Without Borders, they're super fucking rich, so they get an extra Munchito every time they move, and that's what helps you kind of define your strategy. There's a lot going on, lots of different choices you can make, whether you want to hoard Munchitos, discard your cliques and start over every time, keep a little bit of influence in every click, or just card hoard until the end and hope that you have the card that you need to get there. That's Cool Table. Cool Table is kind of like the perfect game for me, just because it's got some strategy, it's got a lot of depth, it's got a lot of replayability, but it's not too long. A lot of the games that I like that tend to, kind of drag out. Like one of my favorites is Agricola, but you can get kind of caught up in the analysis paralysis. So what I wanted to do was make a game kind of, strategy, but quick. You can play a lot of rounds of it and explore the different pieces of it.
Cool. So thanks so much for showing us the game. I know the judges will probably have a bunch of questions.
Yeah. So she said it's a player-based win. So can you take us through a turn?
Yeah, absolutely. So your turn has 3 different phases. First, you pay upkeep or bribe any of the clicks you want to keep.
What happens if I don't bribe?
If you don't have the money to bribe, or if you don't want to bribe, you can just wipe out all the clicks that are on the table in front of you. That's a totally acceptable move. If you want to keep their friendship, basically.
Okay.
And then for the second phase, you can take 2 actions of a possible 4. You can draw. You can take 2 face-up cards or 3 face-down. There's a face-up, face-down mechanism.
Okay.
You can move a click that you have influence with. You can play click cards from your hand to the table and take an optional move after that. Or you can play a guidance counselor. He just functions as a blocking mechanic, so you can stop people for temporary, small amounts of time.
That's the win condition, right? So I'm eligible, and then I move a token here, and then I win the game.
Yes.
I could also retreat somebody?
Yes, absolutely. You can move them backwards, you can move them sideways. If you don't have the cards to quite get the win, but you want to stop somebody else from doing it too, if you have influence with that click, you can move it backward.
And to be, the eligibility requirement is a set? Is a set collection? Is that what it is?
Yeah, you're going to have influence with that click in order to get moves for that click.
Okay.
So why do I want to play multiple cards in the same click?
Because that gives you extra moves. So if you play 6 cards of a click, for example, that's going to give you 5 moves. If you play a pair, that gives you 1 move.
But I'm concerned that this might have the Ebola Monkey Hunt problem. So
Which one?
the Ebola Monkey Hunt problem is, instead of the game that you want everybody to play, instead everybody clusters around the front of the game, trying to prevent everyone else from playing the game. What stops that in this case? Like, how do we actually get to the point where somebody wins? Why am I not keeping my guys all the way back so that you can't win?
Because everybody's playing every click, you can maybe stop 1 click, but you can't stop all of them. So, let's say you've got the Yachters pinned in with some guidance counselors. There are 2 of them in the game. The teen moms can come around and take the lead, or the future serfs of America can swoop from the side, so.
But why do I ever want to get anything close enough for you to win?
That is part of the crux of the game. It's a little bit of bluffing.
What information do all of the players know, and what information is secret to a specific player?
So the information that all of the players know is what influence you currently have, because you play your clicks out in front of you once you want to have influence with them. They also know, because some of the cards are face up when you're drawing, there's also some face down, so there is a little bit of, you're not going to know everything there is to know, but you should have a pretty good idea of what people have if you're canny and you're watching.
Can you tell us a little bit about how you've play-tested the game and how it's changed as a result of play-testing it?
I came up with the idea last year. I started play-testing it in January of this year. And I wasn't sure how you would get cards. So I tried this, it was basically Pit. There was like trading influence with different clicks, and like once somebody had a set that they wanted to play, they would like slam it down, and then they were like, I'm moving the Geekroids. But it just didn't make sense. So then I started playtesting a little bit more extensively. I'm fortunate enough to both A, live with my boyfriend who also designs games, and B, my upstairs neighbor also designs games. He's my design partner for some other games we've worked on together. So I'm lucky enough to have 2 built-in playtesters who are willing to take my Sharpied index cards and work through mechanics.
Do you ever see like a long standoff at the end, or does it tend to have an exciting ending? In
general, yeah, I would say people tend to pick up on the game very quickly. Within a couple rounds, they understand what they're doing, and after they've played their first game, it takes about 10 minutes a person. And because every click is different and has different powers, that kind of changes the flavor of each game a little bit too.
Have you offended anyone yet with these?
Actually, no.
I was a Geekroid.
Yeah, I try to actively not to stick with a specific brat pack type of click style, like Breakfast Club. I didn't want to do like the losers and the cheerleaders and the football player. I wanted to do something a little bit unique and unusual, so coming up with the clicks was, you know, the really fun part. And people also seem to get a big kick out of saying they want to discard a teen mom. So, yeah.
Thank you so much for bringing the game, and you're a great presenter, and it's really funny, and yeah, I would love to play it.
Thank you. Yeah, if you ever get a chance, come by and read the rule book. I think fuck is in there probably 10 times, so.
I would like to say that I also dislike science fiction writers that use nanobots as stand-in for magic. Yeah, so.
Thank you all so much for checking out Cool Table. I hope you like it, and I look forward to seeing what you have to say.
Thanks, Jasmine.
Thank you, Jasmine.
So I think the strength of this game is definitely like the copywriting and the names of things, and I think that's a pretty strong hook. But I definitely have some concerns that I think Mike hit on in terms of mechanics of it kind of having like a long standoff at the end.
So much of the knowledge is on the table. You have a pretty good idea of what your opponents can do on the next turn, and you can screw them up pretty easily. So I would really be like, you know, for casual gamers, this is absolutely no problem. But for any hardcore gamers, the standoff at the end is going to be brutal.
It seems like pretty easy to measure for that stuff.
It clearly borrows from Ticket to Ride, and that game has a hoarding problem. And knowing because of the markers which people are going to move, like hoarding becomes even more obvious.
Yeah, she said it directly, right? It was that if you are paying attention, you can track just about every piece in the game, which is potentially disastrous.
I feel like if there was some kind of like turn tracker with an escalation mechanic or something,
That's exactly
something that was
You've
driving,
got to get the game to the end.
pushing you toward the end, like limiting your hands or something like that, or randomizing in some way.
Jasmine was awesome, but she's such a good spokesperson for this game, and she's very funny. I think a huge problem with this game, I'm trying not to be too harsh because I know it's a prototype, but the design is a disaster. And since the game, I think it leans pretty heavily on the theme and the flavor, like the art needs to come through, and the art needs to kind of, that is the hook of it. So I think there's, you know, I mean, I guess you could look at it as a good opportunity to bring in an artist and a designer and really do something special with it. But that's a hugely important part of this game and what makes it fun. And I'm just worried that not a lot of thought has gone into it.
I don't think there's any significant problem with the design other than like hardcore gamers aren't going to get it. Like the design is actually fairly tight for what it is. It's just it's going to have a bad end game, and that could use some work. But the only problems with this really are the artwork and whether it's appropriate for this.
It does kind of hit a strange middle ground in terms of like it's not entirely casual, but it's not really a hardcore game. And as a result, when I compare this to other things on my shelf, I'm not sure exactly why I would want to pull this out over even something like Ticket to Ride.
Well, it's also Clue mashed up with Ticket to Ride with a twist. It says so right here.
The twist is the teen moms.
The twist is the teen moms.
With the right artist, this game would sell, though. I mean,
absolutely.
Regardless of whether there's a mechanical problem for gamers.
I mean, I there is a place for the game that you play with your casual friends that you kind of want to lure slowly into the hardcore area, and you start them with the joke.
It could be a great like gateway game, something I could play with my parents or something like that.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly the space I'd want to see it in as the warm-up game. But if that's going to be this game, I think that you need to simplify some of the decisions you're making, and I think you have to have that acceleration mechanic, because my two biggest concerns are the game never ends and it takes forever. Because if I'm playing this as a warm-up game, I'm going to sit there and first I'm going to think, what do I want to pay upkeep on? Then what do I want to take for my two actions? And then there's choices inside of those actions as well. So there's a lot going on your turn that's going to take this game from cool, fun warm-up game into, oh my god, can we stop playing this and just put Ticket to Ride on the table?
Sherry, do you have any thoughts on producing it? Do you think it could be done in our budget?
As far as the budget goes for a game like this, yeah, this is a pretty affordable game. I mean, she's got nothing expensive here to manufacture.
I think it's like so much of her personality is coming out in the writing of it. And
it's clever. It's a clever game, and
she's clearly drawing on like her comedy chops and stuff, and that's what's special about the game. I mean,
well, also I think the marketing would have to go along with that.
Totally. Yeah.
I want to play this game. I'm concerned significantly about the mechanics of it, but it hit completely with me thematically and stuff. I would love to play.
It's a really smart and different theme for a game. I mean, I think it's a great setting, and it's a really I love that she brought like her experience into into making a game that's set in something she knows.
I'm excited about Cool Table, but I think it's a little bit earlier prototype-wise than some other people. You've got Jupiter Deep, which has like amazing graphics. There's the Amberden Affair, which is kind of already being done on Game Crafter. The Jane Austen game guy, I forget his name, but he is given TEDx talks, and he's like a noted economist, so there's a lot of really rough competition.